Good sleep is like a red velvet cake. There are different layers, different ingredients, but it's not enough. What else do we need to make a cake? Think about it for a second before I give you the answer. My sleep used to be awful. I couldn't fall asleep for hours. I was waking up in the middle of the night and couldn't get back to sleep. Was getting out of bed all tired in the morning and getting by on coffee. But when my dad started to lose his mind to dementia, it was the final straw. I realized that if I don't get my act together, I'm going to be that guy wandering into the kitchen forgetting why I came in. So to play it smart, I've picked up the best books like Why We Sleep, The Science of Sleep, and turned them into the ingredients for my sweet velvet dream cake. And in this video, we are going to take a look at these crucial ingredients first, and then at the step many people miss or do wrong, we'll bake the cake properly. Bake it into your life for good, so you'll start sleeping better tonight. Sounds good? Let's go. Alright, get comfy, relax. I'm not going to give you a long lecture on why sleep is good for you. I already did it in dozens of videos before.
Yeah, it is somewhere up there with exercise. You definitely need regular, refreshing sleep.
So like our A or S?
A.
A, okay.
Let's just say that for longevity, which this channel is mostly about, sleep gets the top grade. But here's one thing we haven't discussed during my visit to Harvard. A good sleep fills you with motivation and grit. You might be short on it right now, so consider watching this video as a challenge. Here's your completion bar, and let's play. Now your only excuse to sign out is if you actually fall asleep while watching. But I'll do my best so you don't. Otherwise, because we're building a new you, you should try to absorb all the information to your subconscious level. Plus, it's very useful to know how much baking powder to use and not confuse salt and sugar. So, let's collect the ingredients. And the first step is actually more like getting a baking sheet, ground zero. It goes for addressing any medical conditions you might have, like sleep apnea. Ask your partner to look at you when you sleep, record yourself with a webcam, record your snoring with an app on your phone, or use a smart gadget to monitor breathing patterns, or ultimately, if you suspect problems, do a sleep study. Or if you are struggling with clinical insomnia, then look into CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy. And with that out of the way, let's get to the first ingredient. Here's a question for you. Do you think you'll sleep better in a hot, sweaty room or in a cold room under a warm blanket? If you're anything like me, it's going to be cold. And the reason is, the science shows that your core temperature has to go down a little bit to properly hibernate, get that deep sleep. We are not bears, but sleeping in a cold bedroom using AC or cooling beds or keeping the heat down in winter is first step. You don't need to freeze your ass off, but it has to be a little colder than you think. If you imagine the scales, they're tipped slightly to the cold. Second question. Do you know how a ray of sunlight can wake you up in the morning? Your eyes might be closed, but somehow you still pick it up. And that's because your brain, even when asleep, is light sensitive. So if you want to improve your sleep, the easy trick is to remove or mask all light sources from the bedroom and use the weakest night light possible in the bathroom if you have to go there. If you think about it, it's not like ancient humans or even your grandparents had an electricity in the outer house. Bright light signals the brain to wake up and replaces melatonin with cortisol to get you jacked and ready for the day. not a great idea in the middle of the night, right? But on the other hand, it's an awesome idea in the morning to properly start the internal circadian clock, especially if you can get out and face a new day and the bright skies. And the natural reverse of that, the night side, if you will, dark side, in the evening try to avoid any bright lights, especially blue and green. Nowadays there are smart light bulbs for that and apps to darken the screens like Flux, which I'm using all the time. It's free, I'll leave the link below. And if you want to take it to the next level, go old school. Get a mechanical alarm clock or emergency flip phone for your bedroom and keep your smartphone with bright screen and all the excitement, which might be as bad or even worse than bright light, outside of your sleep sanctuary. Let's face it, doom scrolling isn't recognized as a sleep aid, at least yet. And another hack that plays into our internal clocks and the whole cyclical nature of the universe, especially if your snooze button needs anti-abuse therapy, is having a regular bedtime. Ideally, the only alarm you should be using is the one that reminds you to go to bed, with morning alarm just as a backup. So, speaking about phones and excitement, for me there is nothing like the mental looping of the unfinished argument here or on Reddit to keep me wide awake, going through the multiple scenarios, the best answers, the smart comebacks. For the most part, we live in a very safe environments. Your neighbor is not going to jump you with a stone axe to steal your shopping bags, I hope. But he might jump you with an offensive comment. And unfortunately, your amygdala, the danger sensor in the brain, doesn't care. It will register and get you wired up for a few hours at least. And it will make your sleep lighter and more sensitive, just in case that dude is digging that skull smasher out. Did I say leave your smartphone outside of your bedroom? That's one of the reasons. It's way too easy to go for dopamine and get involved. And that stress and light exposure, they're a really bad combination. And I get it, you have to be on the pulse of what's going on everywhere at once. But look, you have to make your priorities straight. Your health and your family first. People on the internet second. You can catch up with the girls and the trolls and the pals in the morning. With that out of the way, the second big mind issue which jumps me now and then is things like planning, or even better, great ideas. Business ideas, video ideas, even work ideas, which seem to be so great in the moment and keep looping in the head, which can go for hours. To be completely forgotten or not acted upon the next day. Sounds familiar? Two things which worked great for me, and I even have dedicated video for each of them, are microjournaling to get that excitement out and ideas out, and micro meditations to just switch out and disconnect. So put a small journal on your nightstand and learn at least one simple meditation technique, and it's a game changer 100%. And there is time-tested strategy, just read a book if you have time, or any other wind-down routine. Lately, I've personally have been practicing my TH sounds for, for the 30 minutes before the bed. Do you know that feeling when you are all stressed and grimy, but then you step into a hot shower and suddenly it's so good you don't want to leave? As we move along our list of ingredients from the mind to the body, it's not the most powerful trick, which I'm saving for the last, but shower is definitely the most pleasant. It melts my stress away, spikes my water bill, but hey, that's the price of relaxation. The shower relaxes the muscles, but also relaxes the temperature guards, which allow the heat to flow from the core to your hands and feet to radiate out, and your core temperature goes down and your sleep gets deeper. I cannot say that I'm doing it all that often, but what I do often is a little bit of walking before sleep. It hits the same or similar checkboxes for me. Relaxes the mind and body, warms up the extremities, and saving on shampoo are paying for my mortgage slowly. The walks are also extremely good if sudden late dinner jumped you or you got assaulted by a shot of tequila. These bastards are very sneaky drinks and dinners. Might feel good at the moment, but there is a hidden cost. Right now, most of us work 8 hours a day, and we are kind of okay with that. But imagine you work in a startup and one day your boss comes to you and says, "From this day forward, we are going to work 10 hours each day. It's good for the company." How would you feel about that? And the next month he says, 10 hours is weak. Let's do 14. But you know what will bring you free lunch? It's good for the company. And the next month, new policy. Everyone lives in the office and works for 20 hours because it's good for the company. But is it? Are you going to work well if you are chained to your desk and have no time to rest? Your digestive system, it is kind of chained to you and it wants to rest as much as every other part of your body. 8 hours would be nice, but late heavy meals and it has to work the night shift. Might be okay for the company when it's a deadline. I mean, a party you cannot miss sometimes happens and social stuff is important. But don't do it every day to your workers. Not good for the company. Speaking about meals, I have to mention supplements, our icing on a cake. By their nature and even literal name, they are there to supplement, not to replace your diet. In a way, they're not even icing. Who would want a cake without icing, right? They are more like sprinkles. Not everyone needs them. Supplements are very personal. From my own experience, I can recommend magnesium glycinate or just pure glycine powder. I have a whole separate video dedicated to glycine. But as I said, everyone is different, so you have to experiment. And second would be melatonin, especially as we get older, might be useful, to get us down to sleep quicker. But the trick is to take a tiny dose about an hour before the bedtime to fall asleep quicker. And ashwagandha works for some people, but not for me. Probably because I already practice meditation, mindful breathing, and exercise daily. So another ingredient which has the potential to make you sleep like a baby, and I don't mean wet yourself twice and cry through the night, I mean the real deal. The biggest game changer for me, and I'll tell you why, is exercise. Breaking sweat every day. Not every evening because of that core temperature, but every day. When I spend some time dedicated to exercising, I almost never have issues. Sleepless night practically go away. But if I decide to be lazy for a few days, they tend to creep back. And you don't have to be fancy. Like I said, the key is to just move and sweat. Yes, there are better ways and worse ways to exercise, but what really matters is that you do something that you don't hate and can stick with. And it both improves how fast you fall asleep and the amount of wake-ups. Of course, they are going to happen. Life is life, but don't panic. There are at least two working approaches to deal with them, and one is prevention, and another is mitigation. Prevention is to hydrate more during the day so that at night you don't need to drink as much, and that will reduce the body urge to wake up. And if you drink in the evening, at least do it slowly. If you sip, your body has time to distribute that liquid, but if you gulp, it hits the kidneys and asks for the way out, and you will have an extra bathroom trip in a couple hours. High insulin, pre-diabetes, or even late snacking can increase bathroom calls as well to get the sugars out. Remember that episode I did recently about the best diet and how time-restricted eating works even better with circadian rhythms? And that's the reason 31,415 why they are so important, the rhythms. And of course exercises and everything else I've mentioned before in this video as well. But life happens and we get older, unfortunately. Although I'm trying and not planning to give up, but we do wake up. I know I do, and sometimes I'm too obsessed about, let's say, the next video, and getting back to sleep is not that easy. So, what do you do then? You relax and meditate. And you can do either micro-meditation or the full-blown yoga nidra, non-sleep deep rest. It's not too hard either. It won't give you the same 100% quality, but you will be much more rested and will fall back asleep much quicker as well. So give it a try next time. Tell yourself, it's okay that I'm not sleeping, I'm still resting. Relax and ping every body part with each breath back and forth, like finger, another finger, elbow, and like go into every body part, and it works great, trust me. Or better yet, don't trust me. Get a sleep tracking device and see for yourself. Most of the technology around us is trying to ruin sleep, but some is here to actually help. Level 1 would be, where's that? Here's that. Red or orange glasses. It's very easy and passive approach if you have problems with bright lights in the evening. Level 2 is basic sleep tracking device like Oura Ring here. If you want to find out what exact dose of alcohol or weed is going to mess up your sleep, or if you are sensitive to caffeine or not, check it out. It's like your personal sleep coach. And the ultimate level up is a smart temperature controlled bed like 8 Sleep. Hands down the best investment of my life. If it leaks tomorrow, I've already said that once. Not making the same mistake. I have a story to tell. Check it out later. So, all of the above are our cake layers to make our sweet velvet dream layered cake. So, how do we cook it? 2 things. Number 1, pick the right temperature. You don't want to bake it at 1000 degrees. That's how you burn out. Don't try to implement everything at once, because your ego, your current self, will resist such a massive change because it doesn't want to get wiped out. But if you morph yourself slowly with consistent tiny changes spread over a year, the things will get done. So keep it simple, keep it slow, keep it on a schedule, but keep it steady. Kiss. And that applies to everything. Lose weight too fast, burnout, bounce back. Exercise too hard, burnout, bounce back. Sleep is no different. Too cold or too hot, and it ain't cooking. So think cooking layer by layer. And another critical question, which one of these layers or routines is the most important? Where should you start? Which part is the cake? Which part is the icing? It all depends on what systems and habits you already have in place. Pick the one from this list which speaks to you and do it today and tomorrow and keep doing it. For me, the most important, as I said, was the daily exercise. It wasn't easy, but as you know, exercise has a bunch of other health benefits about how you look and how you feel. One thing my dad completely ignored was exercise, and if I learned anything from that, you need to practice hard things. But because it's hard, that's one area where KISS principle alone might not be good enough. I've tried and failed multiple times, So I know, until I actually did something, why this channel is called Living is Smart. I've picked up and read the best books on habit building. And the first lesson from there is to forget resolutions and approach it like a project. And the rest is in this video dedicated to the universal habit building skills which you can apply to sleep, to exercise, or ultimately to learning anything. It's an essential skill to have if you want something out of this life. Especially if you want to live smart and resist aging, and I'll see you there.